Many of you guys know that Martin Scorsese has got his new film coming out with Leonardo DiCaprio, co-starring my accountant's wife, true story, is one of the lead female stars in the movie, called Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, this was one that was famously up for bidding war amongst a lot of studios. Apple won the bidding war. And they decided, even though they've got Apple TV Plus, that this movie was going to be theatrical and then move it exclusively onto Apple TV Plus. That, of course, is now being proved out to be the formula for success. So they're following that. Now, we had heard some rumors that Martin Scorsese had a 4-hour cut of this movie. And that wasn't one of the early cuts, because most early cuts of a film are incredibly long, right? So it really shouldn't surprise anybody if, the first cut was like 4.5 hours long. That really shouldn't surprise anybody. But we had heard rumors that one of the late cuts of Killers of the Flower Moon was like 4 hours long. And I kind of dismissed that. I thought, nah, that's not true. Well, maybe it was true, because now we actually have the final running time about the new movie. And this comes us from the folks over at Deadline, who write the following. Exclusive to Deadline, Martin Scorsese has locked his cut of Killers of the Flower Moon, and Deadline can reveal that the final runtime will be, hold on to your butts, 3 hours and 26 minutes long. The Apple, that's Ray's nightmare. The Apple Original Films drama will make its world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival next month before it opens theatrically in October through Paramount Pictures and later moves to streaming globally on Apple TV Plus. So 3 hours and 26 minutes long. Okay.
I'm seeing the midnight screening.
I'm going to that first midnight screening. So look, we have talked a lot on the show about how there is no ideal runtime, right? Every movie in its own unique DNA has a runtime that's best for it. Some movies, perfect runtime is 90 minutes. For some movies, the perfect runtime is 3 hours. And anywhere in between, right? Here's the thing for me, though, and I'm only speaking for myself, is that when we get into the much longer films, I generally will like them when they have emotional and pace changes throughout. Like they change gears a lot, right?
That keeps emotional damage.
Or a lot of emotional damage. But the things that will keep you engaged as you're going.
Yeah.
Right? So something like a Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. Something like a long epic kind of style of comic book movie. Something that will thrill you with tons of great action and then take you into character stuff and moves it all around so you don't feel the time, right?
That was John Wick 4. I know it wasn't as long, but...
John Wick 4 was long.
Yeah.
It was a long movie, but it was constantly moving you. The pace was crazy. They knew just the right times to stop the crazy pace, to let you catch your breath, and then bang, they popped it back into gear, and it was all going wild again. And by the time John Wick 4 was done, it was like, well, I didn't even feel the runtime.
Right.
That was crazy.
And the action wasn't repetitive, so the set pieces were different.
Yeah. So they changed the movie. It was everything was a different level of the video game, right? Mm-hmm. Especially that top-down shot. Where it became kind of a stroller.
I literally started chuckling, just out of joy, just because it got so ridiculous. Oh. I was laughing while it was happening.
So good, but that doesn't work for every movie. Take one of Martin Scorsese's more recent films, The Irishman. Now, The Irishman was, and Ray, maybe you can look up for me the runtime of The Irishman. Yep. But The Irishman is a good movie, man. Mm-hmm. I like The Irishman, but it was oppressively long. Mm-hmm. Well, John, there are longer movies that you like. Yeah. But it was oppressively long for what this movie was.
3 hours and 29 minutes.
So I'm 3 minutes longer than this thing is going to be. And you felt, I honestly felt every minute. There were so many scenes that only accomplish things that other scenes in the movie already established. And there was so much in that movie that could have been shaved out. That kind of prevented, for me, The Irishman from being a good movie. It prevented it from being, damn, this is clearly one of the top 2 or 3 best movies of the year. And the thing that held it back was it was not the right runtime for that movie. And I fear a little bit that a 3.5 hour runtime for a movie like Killers of the Flower Moon, I fear I'm going to feel that same weight of the runtime that I did for The Irishman. And I almost feel like if Martin Scorsese would be willing to take his scalpel. Now, I'm saying this as somebody who has not watched the movie yet, all right? I'm completely cognizant of that. I'm just saying, that if Martin Scorsese was willing to take the willowing knife and just take away the stuff that doesn't need to be there, you'd be left with a much more beautiful piece. Now, at the same time, I need to remind myself, do you really want to be in the doubting Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio game? Because Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio have made 5 movies together, and they've all been great. Wolf of Wall Street was great.
That had a 3-hour runtime, didn't it? Wolf?
It might have, but that was, again, that was a movie that was peppered with humor, flashback. It was constantly changing the board around. You know what I mean? Island, Shutter Island. I thought was that to me is probably the most underrated of the Scorsese DiCaprio movies together. I thought Shutter Island was great. The Departed is one of my favorite Best Picture winning films of all time, and it was a remake of Infernal Affairs, my favorite cop film of all time. The Aviator was there. I think we already mentioned Gangs of New York. I mean, listen, it is not a good business to be in the doubting Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio business. I'm just saying, if I hold it up to one of Scorsese's previous works, Irishman, at that length and that runtime, and if it carries that kind of tone, I fear I'm going to feel the weight of that runtime. But who knows? Maybe I'll come out of the theater and go, you know what? 3 hours, 26 minutes was the perfect runtime for this movie. At least that's what I'll hope. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently the runtime of Killers of the Flower Moon is about 3.5 hours long. Is that going to be the right runtime for this? Maybe you did think that the 3.5 hours was the right runtime for The Irishman. I did not, but maybe you did. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Think about it. The person you were 5 years ago is not the exact person that you are today. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way that we do until we talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. And guys, striving for better mental health is something we should all aspire to. I've talked about this before, but when somebody goes to the gym, we applaud them for getting out there to improve their physical health. Well, it's about time that we start looking at mental health the same way, not just by encouraging the people around us to look into therapy, but by also taking the step to take care of our own mental health as well. So listen, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a short questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea.